Can you fly that thing?
We know where to go.
Thanks.
Let's see if we can find some cover.
That was close, John. No, you're not.
Your worst nightmare.
We do not want to. You will be given a fair trial. Drop your weapon.
Not for humor, John.
Escape. Come forward.
Hey guys, today we're diving headfirst into the glorious, explosion-filled world of Rambo III from 1988, where John Rambo decides that peaceful retirement is just a suggestion. We kick things off in a serene Thai monastery, which, let's be honest, is probably the last place you'd expect to find Rambo, But there he is, doing what he does best, absolutely dominating in underground stick-fighting matches. It's less spiritual awakening and more applying excessive force with blunt objects, which, in Rambo's defense, is a very effective form of meditation if your goal is to make people regret their life choices. The crack of the bamboo sticks echoing through the arena is a stark reminder that even in quietude, Rambo's a walking weapon. If you had a good time with this, a like and a subscribe is a free way to help me keep making more. Just when you thought Rambo might actually find some inner peace, a helicopter rudely interrupts the tranquility because, of course, it does. It's none other than Colonel Sam Trautman, looking like he's just stepped out of a highly classified barber shop. He's got a new mission for our reluctant hero, a clandestine trip to Afghanistan to help the Mujahideen fight the Soviets. Imagine your old boss showing up at your yoga retreat, asking if you want to blow some stuff up for freedom. Troutman lays out the grim situation, detailing the Soviet aggression and the need for Rambo's unique brand of problem-solving. The whoosh of the helicopter blades is a stark contrast to the quiet chants of the monks, symbolizing the two worlds Rambo constantly straddles. But wait, plot twist. Rambo surprisingly says no. He's all my war is over, Colonel, and genuinely seems committed to this whole peace and quiet thing. He shows Troutman around the monastery, a subtle flex of his new, calmer existence. It's a genuinely heartfelt moment, as Rambo explains his desire to avoid the bloodshed and the trauma that comes with it. You can almost hear the emotional scars clanging with every word. The wind rustling through the palm trees during their conversation highlights the inner turmoil Rambo faces. Troutman, ever the persistent mentor, tries to appeal to Rambo's sense of duty, but Rambo is resolute. He's trying to scrub the taste of credite and desperation from his palate, and another war isn't on his spa treatment menu. Well, Rambo might be done with war, but war isn't done with Troutman. The colonel heads off to Afghanistan anyway, because someone's gotta deliver those stingers, and apparently, no one else has Rambo's particular set of skills. But surprise! Surprise, the mission goes sideways faster than a greased weasel on ice. Their helicopter gets shot down in a fiery explosion, the crunch of metal against the desert floor sounding absolutely horrific. And who's there to greet Troutman? None other than Colonel Zasin, the villainous Soviet commander, looking like he just stepped out of a How to Be Evil textbook. The clatter of Soviet weapons as Troutman is apprehended signals the end of his freedom and the beginning of Rambo's inevitable return to action. Zasin wastes no time in asserting his dominance, because what's a Rambo movie without a truly menacing bad guy? News travels fast, even to a serene monastery in Thailand. Rambo, trying to enjoy a quiet meal, is informed by embassy officials that Troutman's mission went belly up and he's now a Soviet souvenir. The silence that follows the news is deafening, heavy with the weight of Rambo's past and his responsibility. That look on Rambo's face? It's the exact moment you realize that peaceful retirement was just a temporary pit stop. He might have been out, but now he's definitely back in. The scraping of his chair as he rises is a subtle declaration that the monk's robes are coming off, and the bandana is going back on. When Troutman's in trouble, Rambo doesn't need an invitation. He needs a map and a really big knife. The gears in his head start turning, not about inner peace, but about strategic extraction and tactical mayhem. Our man Rambo, now sporting his classic combat gear, parachutes metaphorically, mostly into Peshawar, Pakistan. The bustling sounds of the market, the haggling, the distant calls, instantly tell you this isn't Thailand anymore. It's a gritty, dusty, bustling border town, the kind of place where organized chaos is considered a high compliment. He meets Robert Griggs, the embassy contact, a man who clearly wasn't expecting Rambo to look quite so intense. Griggs, bless his bureaucratic heart, tries to explain the protocol for entering Afghanistan, which Rambo immediately translates into obstacles I'm about to ignore. The dry, crackling air and the grit underfoot emphasize the harsh reality of his new environment. Rambo isn't here for a scenic tour. He's here for a rescue mission, and he's not big on paperwork. No time for sightseeing. Rambo needs to get into Afghanistan, and fast. He teams up with Mousa, a local guide who looks like he's seen a thing or two, mostly bad. They embark on a perilous horseback journey across the vast, unforgiving Afghan desert. The clip-clop of hooves on sand is almost meditative until you remember the perilous part. The sun beats down mercilessly, the wind whipping sand into every crevice, creating a constant, gritty soundtrack. Rambo's not one for small talk, but Mouse's got a dry wit that perfectly complements Rambo's stoic intensity. They're quickly exposed to the devastation of the Soviet occupation, seeing bombed-out villages and the grim signs of war. The desert itself becomes a character, hot, silent, and watchful, echoing the tension between the two men and the mission ahead. Finally, Rambo and Mouse reach a small, hidden Mujahideen village. The chatter of the villagers, a mixture of welcome and wary curiosity, fills the air. It's a stark contrast to the emptiness of the desert. Rambo gets to meet the locals, including a young boy named Hamid, who, naturally, idolizes Rambo almost immediately. Because who wouldn't want a silent, muscular American as their new role model? The sense of cooking fires and dusty fabrics mingle, painting a vivid picture of a community trying to survive amidst conflict. Rambo observes the villagers, seeing their resilience and their fierce determination. He's not just there to rescue Troutman. He's seeing the human cost of the conflict, which, for a man like Rambo, only hardens his resolve. No sooner has Rambo settled in than the Soviets decide to make a surprise visit, via helicopter and ground troops. Because in a Rambo movie, peace lasts about as long as a snowflake in a blast furnace. The sudden roar of helicopter engines and the sharp crackle of automatic gunfire shatter the village's quiet. Chaos erupts. Villagers scramble, and Rambo, without a moment's hesitation, switches into full one-man army mode. He's not just fighting, he's orchestrating a symphony of destruction, using everything at his disposal: arrows, his trusty knife, and even the landscape itself. The thud of arrows finding their mark and the guttural cries of surprised Soviet soldiers are chillingly effective. This isn't just a fight. It's Rambo reminding everyone that he's still the baddest dude on the planet, especially when innocent people are threatened. The explosions rock the screen, the debris scattering with a violent thwack. As Rambo becomes a blur of motion and vengeance amidst the firefight, young Hamid gets into trouble because, again, it's a Rambo movie, and kids always get into trouble. But fear not, Rambo's got that hero thing down pat. He scoops up Hamid and carries him to safety through a hail of gunfire, the sound of bullets whizzing past their heads providing a truly terrifying soundtrack. It's a brief, emotional beat that reminds us Rambo's not just a killing machine. He's got a big, protective heart, especially for the innocent. The boy's wide-eyed terror and Rambo's grim determination form a powerful visual. The rhythmic thumping of their feet as Rambo sprints and ducks underscores the urgency of the moment. This act of bravery solidifies Rambo's standing with the Mujahideen, proving he's not just an outsider, but a true ally. Meanwhile, back at Soviet HQ, Troutman is having a really bad day. Colonel Zason, clearly a fan of old-school interrogation techniques, is making Troutman's life a living nightmare. The clatter of chains and the echoing thump of Zason's fist against the wall in the dark, cold cell underscore the brutality. Zason wants intel on American support for the Mujahideen, and he's not above psychological torture to get it. Troutman, being Troutman, stands firm, delivering those classic one-liners we all know and love, even while being absolutely tormented. You can practically hear the grit in his voice as he defies Zason. The tension in these scenes is palpable, a stark reminder of the stakes and the ruthless nature of the enemy. It's a classic hero in distress situation, setting the stage perfectly for Rambo's grand entrance. With the village attack repelled, Rambo and his new Mujahideen buddies, including Mousa, turn their attention to the Soviet fortress. From a distant hilltop, Rambo surveys the base through binoculars, meticulously observing patrol patterns and identifying potential weaknesses. The silence of his focus, broken only by the whispers of the wind, is chillingly precise. He's back in his element, planning, strategizing, becoming one with the mission. He spots Troutman being dragged around, confirming his location and igniting an even fiercer fire in Rambo's eyes. The metallic glint of the razor wire and the heavy gates of the fortress serve as a visual challenge, a silent dare for Rambo to breach. It's like watching a master chess player, except instead of pawns, Rambo's moving grenades and rocket launchers. As night falls, Rambo begins his infiltration. This isn't a frontal assault, oh no! This is pure stealth Rambo moving like a phantom through the shadows. The only sounds are the soft crunch of his boots on gravel, the whisper of the wind, and the almost inaudible snick of his knife as he silently neutralizes sentries. It's a masterclass in silent execution, a deadly ballet of shadows and steel. He navigates through the maze of barbed wire and patrol routes, the distant hum of generators the only constant. The tension is incredibly high. Every shadow seems to hide a threat. He's a one-man special ops team, methodically dismantling the Soviet defenses, one unsuspecting guard at a time. The cold metallic clang of equipment being moved or dropped is expertly avoided by Rambo, ensuring his ghost-like progress. The guards never see him coming, only feel the swift, silent embrace of Rambo's lethality. After a series of silent takedowns and clever diversions, Rambo finally pinpoints Troutman's cell. He peeks through a tiny opening, seeing his mentor, bruised but unbroken, still defiant even in the face of torture. The sight of Troutman's weary but resolute face ignites a quiet fury in Rambo. You can almost hear the gears turning in Rambo's head as he assesses the immediate threat and plans his next move. The muffled groans of Troutman from within the cell are like a painful call to action. He knows he can't just bust in. He needs to do this strategically. The low rumble of distant generators and the occasional shout of a guard create a tense backdrop to this crucial moment. The reunion is close, but not without its own set of deadly challenges. Well, Rambo can only be a ghost for so long before someone notices the distinct lack of living guards. He's eventually spotted, and then it's boom boom pow time. A massive firefight erupts, the cacophony of gunfire, shouting, and explosions filling the air. Rambo unleashes a torrent of lead, clearing paths with almost supernatural speed. The metallic clatter of spent casings on concrete, the shattering glass, the screams of surprised Soviet soldiers. It's a symphony of chaos that Rambo conducts with precision. He's weaving through corridors, dodging bullets, and dispatching foes with his signature blend of brutal efficiency and improvisational brilliance. The walls are getting peppered, explosions are rocking the foundations, and Rambo is just getting warmed up. Every thud of a body hitting the ground adds to the rising tension and Rambo's relentless forward momentum, with a strategically placed explosive, because keys are for amateurs. Rambo blasts open Troutman's cell door. The sudden crump of the explosion echoes through the facility. Troutman, a little disoriented but certainly not surprised, greets Rambo with a weary smile and a classic. "Took you long enough." The exchange is brief but loaded with years of shared history and mutual respect. They grab some extra gear because you can never have too many grenades when you're escaping a Soviet fortress. The sound of their boots scraping against the debris-strewn floor as they move quickly through the breached cell is a rhythmic promise of more action to come. The duo, a perfect blend of grizzled experience and raw power, is finally back together, and the Soviets are about to regret this reunion. Now for the fun part, the escape. Rambo and Troutman commandeer a Soviet truck, because what's a prison break without some Grand Theft Auto? Rambo naturally is behind the wheel, because apparently he's good at everything. They crash through walls, send guards flying, and generally cause more property damage than a really angry Godzilla. The roar of the truck engine combined with the screech of tires and the crunch of metal as they smash through obstacles is pure cinematic bliss. The Soviets are in hot pursuit, showering them with bullets, but Rambo's driving skills are second only to his shooting skills. Troutman, ever the calm strategist, provides cover and fire, a steady thump-thump of his rifle echoing from the truck bed. It's a high-octane escape sequence, culminating in a glorious, explosion-laden departure from the base, leaving a pile of burning vehicles and very confused Soviet soldiers in their wake. They're free. For now, freedom is fleeting when you're Rambo. No sooner do they escape the base than a swarm of Soviet helicopters descends upon them. like very angry, very armed hornets. The relentless thud-thud-thud of rotor blades and the rapid-fire rat-a-tat-tat of machine guns fill the desert air. It's a classic Rambo scene, our hero, outgunned but never outmatched, using his environment to his advantage. They race through canyons seeking cover, but the choppers are persistent. Rambo, with Troutman's help, manages to take down a few, the explosions lighting up the desolate landscape with a satisfying kaboom. Troutman, despite being held captive and tortured, is still a crack shot, proving that old dogs can definitely learn new tricks, especially when those tricks involve blowing up Soviet aircraft. The whizzing of bullets and the frantic revving of the truck's engine create an urgent, heart-pounding symphony of survival against all odds. Rambo and Troutman manage to shake off the immediate aerial pursuit, thanks to some truly wild driving and well-placed shots. They eventually rendezvous with Moussa and a much larger contingent of Mujahideen fighters. The celebratory cheers and shouts of welcome from the Mujahideen echo through the mountains, a stark contrast to the earlier quiet tension. It's a moment of relief and solidarity as Rambo and Troutman are welcomed back as heroes. The sight of all these determined fighters, united against a common enemy, reinvigorates the mission. The bustling sounds of the encampment, people talking, preparing weapons, sharing food, creates a sense of a nascent army ready to fight. Troutman gets a chance to rest and recover, while Rambo, ever the pragmatist, immediately starts thinking about the next move. This isn't just about rescue anymore. It's about making a stand. With Troutman safe and a formidable force of Mujahideen gathered, it's time to plan the main event. Rambo, Troutman, and Moussa huddle over maps, discussing tactics with the Mujahideen elders. The low murmurs of strategic discussion are punctuated by the clinking of weapons and the rustling of maps. Troutman, using his military expertise, helps translate Rambo's intuitive combat genius into a coherent plan. They know Zayson isn't going to let Rambo's antics slide. A massive Soviet retaliation is inevitable. This isn't just a rescue mission anymore. It's a full-scale war. The flickering firelight casting long shadows on their faces adds to the gravity of the moment. They're preparing for the fight of their lives, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The rhythmic thrum of distant, unseen military vehicles provides an ominous backdrop to their war council, and here it comes. Colonel Zayson, absolutely furious that Rambo dared to exist, unleashes the full might of the Soviet war machine. A seemingly endless convoy of tanks, armored personnel carriers, and attack helicopters rolls across the desert, creating a thunderous rumble that announces their arrival long before they're visible. It's an overwhelming display of force, designed to crush the resistance once and for all. The ground trembles with the approach of the tanks, their treads grinding a menacing rhythm into the earth. The roar of the helicopter engines overhead makes conversation impossible, replaced by the primal shouts of defiance from the Mujahideen. Zayson's voice crackles over comms, filled with chilling determination. The battle lines are drawn, and the stage is set for an epic, explosive confrontation. The very air crackles with impending violence, a visceral warning of the carnage to come. Then all hell breaks loose. Artillery shells rain down, explosions rip through the camp with deafening crumps and THUDs, sending dust and debris flying. The rapid-fire burst of Soviet machine guns meets the defiant crack of Mujahideen rifles. It's a chaotic, brutal symphony of war. Rambo is everywhere, a whirlwind of destruction, firing a machine gun here, launching a rocket there, always moving, always fighting. Troutman, despite his age and recent ordeal, is right in the thick of it, calling out targets and providing strategic fire, his voice a steadying presence amidst the chaos. The ground shakes with every explosion, the air filled with the acrid smell of gunpowder and the shouts of men fighting for their lives. This isn't just a skirmish. It's a desperate struggle for survival against overwhelming odds. A testament to the human spirit's refusal to yield. In one of the movie's most iconic moments, Rambo, being Rambo, decides that one tank isn't enough. He needs to drive one. He single-handedly takes over a Soviet tank and then proceeds to turn the enemy's heaviest firepower against them. The deafening boom of the tank's main cannon as it pulverizes Soviet positions is incredibly satisfying. He's driving like a madman, crushing enemy vehicles and generally making a mess of Zaysen's meticulously planned assault. The rhythmic clatter and rumble of the tank treads as it barrels through the battlefield is a truly menacing sound. Troutman, seeing Rambo on the tank, delivers one of his most legendary lines, "What are you doing, John?" And Rambo, without missing a beat, yells back, "I'm driving." It's a moment of pure, unadulterated Rambo, a masterclass in why bother with subtlety when you have a tank. The explosions are bigger, the chaos more widespread, and the Soviets are, understandably, completely flummoxed. While Rambo's busy with his tank joyride, Troutman isn't just standing around offering moral support. He's back in action, showing he's still got the skills that made him a legendary soldier. He picks up a rocket launcher and starts taking out enemy vehicles, proving that he's not just a mentor, but a force to be reckoned with himself. The whoosh of a launched rocket, followed by a satisfying kapow, as it finds its target, adds another layer of destruction to the already chaotic scene. He's cool, calm, and collected, even with explosions happening all around him, a true testament to his experience. The shouts of encouragement from the Mujahideen fighters round him underscore his importance in the battle. His strategic mind combined with his combat prowess makes him an invaluable asset, proving that experience truly matters when the chips are down. Colonel Zaysen, witnessing his unstoppable assault get thoroughly unstopped by one man and a tank, starts to lose his cool. He's shouting orders, his voice raw with fury, desperately trying to rally his troops. He realizes that as long as Rambo is alive, his victory is impossible. So in true villain fashion, he makes it personal. He gathers his remaining forces and leads a desperate, furious charge, focusing all his efforts on Rambo's position. The rhythmic thud of his own boots as he charges forward, mixed with the frantic shouts of his men, underscores his growing desperation. The clatter of his weapon as he grips it tightly shows his intense focus on his target. This isn't just a general leading his troops. It's a man consumed by a singular, destructive obsession. He wants Rambo and he's willing to sacrifice everything to get him. The battle reaches its crescendo with a truly bonkers showdown. Rambo, still in his commandeered tank, versus Zaysen, who's decided a helicopter is a much more stylish way to die. The roar of the helicopter's rotors and the grinding of the tank's treads create a truly epic soundscape. Zaysen tries to finish Rambo off from the air, pelting him with machine gun fire and rockets. But Rambo, ever the innovator, uses the tank to take down the chopper, a move that frankly defies most physics textbooks. The crunch of metal as the tank collides with something, followed by the spectacular explosion of the helicopter, is pure, unadulterated action movie glory. It's a truly over-the-top moment that epitomizes the more is more philosophy of 80s action. The debris clattering around after the explosion is just the cherry on top of this action sundae. But wait, Zaysen isn't done yet. After his helicopter crashes in a fiery mess, he emerges miraculously intact for a final, personal confrontation with Rambo. It's the classic villain versus hero face-off we've all been waiting for. They engage in a brutal, visceral hand-to-hand fight, punches landing with a sickening thwack and crunch. Zaysen, though evil, is a formidable opponent, giving Rambo a surprisingly tough fight. The grunts of exertion from both men, the scuffling of their boots in the dirt, and the heavy breathing build the tension to a fever pitch. But let's be real, no one beats Rambo in a fight, especially not a bad guy who just tried to kill his best friend. Rambo, with a final, decisive move, dispatches Zaysen, putting an end to his reign of terror. The silence that follows the final blow is incredibly impactful, signaling the end of the immediate threat, with Zaysen finally out of the picture, and the remaining Soviet forces retreating in disarray. The Mujahideen erupt in triumphant shouts and cheers. The sound of their victorious cries echo through the mountains, a powerful testament to their resilience. It's a hard-won victory, filled with relief and profound gratitude. Rambo, ever the stoic, exchanges a solemn, respectful handshake with Moussa and a more tender farewell with young Hamid. The boy looks up at Rambo with hero worship in his eyes, a silent promise of future stories. The quiet rustle of their clothes as they embrace briefly before parting ways highlights the bittersweet nature of goodbyes. There's a mutual respect and understanding that transcends language. Rambo's work here is done, and for once, it's a triumph. The sun sets over the now quiet battlefield, casting long shadows. A fitting backdrop for the emotional goodbyes. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the desert sky in hues of orange and purple, Rambo and Troutman drive off in a jeep. The rhythmic rumble of the jeep's engine is a peaceful counterpoint to the battle sounds that dominated earlier. Their mission is accomplished, Troutman is safe, and the Mujahideen have a fighting chance. There's a quiet understanding between them, a bond forged in fire and shared trauma. They don't need many words. Their actions speak volumes. The wind whips through their hair as they drive, a cleansing force after the chaos. This final scene leaves us with a sense of hopeful closure, at least for now. John Rambo, the ultimate warrior, rides off into the sunset, perhaps seeking another moment of peace before the world inevitably calls upon his particular set of skills once more. And so, Rambo drives off, leaving behind a trail of explosions and liberated people, reminding us that even the most reluctant hero will answer the call for those he cares about. This movie, despite all its bombastic action, truly highlights the unwavering loyalty between Rambo and Troutman, a bond forged not just in combat, but in mutual respect. It's a testament to the idea that some battles are worth fighting, not for politics, but for the people you call family. Rambo's journey, from a tortured veteran seeking solace to a force of nature fighting for freedom, reminds us that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the triumph over it, especially when it means saving a friend. It leaves you pondering the true cost of freedom and the indomitable spirit of those who fight for it. Today, we're diving headfirst into the explosive world of Rambo III from 1988, a cinematic masterpiece that pretty much defined the one-man army genre. After the heavy themes of First Blood Part 2, Rambo, our favorite brooding muscleman, is trying to find some inner peace. We find him in Thailand, channeling his energy into intense stick-fighting competitions, the crack of wood on wood echoing through the arena. And also doing some good works at a local Buddhist monastery. He's trying to build a new life, away from the endless cycle of conflict. But let's be real, you can't keep a good Rambo down for long. This is a passion project for me, and a like or a subscribe is the best way to show your support. So if you're on board, join the crew. If not, thanks for watching anyway. Just as Rambo seems to be getting a handle on his inner zen, who should show up but his old buddy, Colonel Troutman, looking a bit weathered but still sharp. Troutman, accompanied by a rather stiff embassy official, tracks Rambo down at the monastery. The subtle clink of Rambo's chisel against the stone is the only sound breaking the serene air. As Troutman lays out the situation, the Soviets are invading Afghanistan and the Mujahideen are fighting a losing battle. The US wants Rambo to join a covert mission to supply them, basically asking him to go back to being, well, Rambo. It's a classic setup, the reluctant hero being pulled back into the fray. Our man Rambo, surprisingly, isn't keen on returning to the blood-soaked playground of international conflict. He's had enough, thank you very much. His stance is firm. My war is over. The emotional weight in his voice is palpable, a weary echo of battles fought and scars earned. He explains that he's found a measure of peace, working alongside the monks, listening to the gentle rustle of leaves in the temple courtyard. He wants to forget the visceral thud of a body hitting the ground, the screech of metal on metal, the constant bang-bang of gunfire. Troutman, ever the understanding mentor, doesn't push. But you can feel the silent acknowledgement between them that some destinies are just too stubborn to avoid. With Rambo stubbornly clinging to his newfound tranquility, Troutman, being Troutman, decides to press on. The mission to deliver supplies to the Afghan Mujahideen is too important. And he won't let Rambo's reluctance stop him. We see him, a man of unwavering resolve, boarding a transport plane, the deep thrum of the engines building round him. There's a subtle tension in the air, You know deep down this isn't going to end well. It's like watching someone walk into a haunted house in a horror movie. You know what's coming. But you can't look away. He's heading straight into the Soviet-occupied territory, a stark reminder that even without Rambo, the fight continues. Spoiler alert, Troutman's solo mission hits a snag, a rather explosive snag, actually, his convoy, deep in the treacherous Afghan mountains, is ambushed by a heavily armed Soviet force led by the delightfully sinister Colonel Zasin. The sudden crack of automatic gunfire pierces the quiet of the canyon, followed by the satisfying boom of a vehicle exploding. It's a beautifully choreographed mess of bullets, dust, and shouting. Troutman, despite his age, puts up a valiant fight, a veteran's defiance in the face of overwhelming odds, but eventually, he's overwhelmed, captured, and dragged off to a Soviet stronghold. This, of course, means Rambo's quiet retirement is about to be spectacularly interrupted. News travels fast, even in a Buddhist monastery. The same embassy official who tried to recruit Rambo earlier returns, his face a mask of grim urgency. He delivers the news of Troutman's capture, describing the ambush and the chilling certainty that Troutman is now a Soviet prisoner. You can practically hear the snap of Rambo's fragile peace breaking, his eyes, once calm, now ignite with a familiar fire. It's the look of a man who's just had his favorite sandwich stolen and is about to enact sweet, explosive vengeance. His old mentor, his only true friend, is in deep trouble. And there's only one man on Earth who can fix this particular mess. Hint, he doesn't work for Dot, and just like that, the peaceful monk persona is shed faster than a snake in springtime. Rambo, driven by an unshakable loyalty, knows what he has to do. We see him in a montage, a man transforming. The scrape of his sharpening stone against his massive Bowie knife is practically an announcement. The war machine is back online. He gathers his signature combat gear, the trusty bow, the quiver of explosive arrows, the endless supply of grim determination. There's no dramatic monologue, just the quiet, focused efficiency of a man who knows exactly what kind of hell he's about to unleash. This isn't just a rescue mission, it's personal. Rambo's first stop is Pakistan, a far cry from the serene monastery. The thump of his boots on the dusty landing strip signals his arrival in a world teeming with refugees and clandestine operations. He links up with a rather nervous contact named Griggs, who promptly gives him the rundown on the situation and, more importantly, connects him with Moussa, a seasoned Mujahideen fighter and guide. Moussa is basically Rambo's local co-pilot, navigating the treacherous terrain and the even more treacherous political landscape. The sheer scale of the refugee camps, a constant hum of human suffering, immediately immerses us in the grim reality of the Soviet invasion. With Moussa as his guide, Rambo crosses into Afghanistan. The landscape is absolutely brutal, vast, sun-baked deserts that stretch for miles, punctuated by jagged, imposing mountains. The clip-clop of their horses' hooves is often the only sound, a stark contrast to the cacophony of war Rambo is heading towards. It's a journey that would break a lesser man. But Rambo just keeps on going, eyes constantly scanning the horizon, every muscle taut. He's not sightseeing, he's on a mission, a one-way ticket to Operation Save Troutman, and he brought his own fireworks. It doesn't take long for Rambo to reacquaint himself with the enemy. They stumble upon a small Soviet patrol, casually doing what Soviet patrols do, being menacing. Rambo, ever the master of surprise, unleashes his inner ninja. The scene is a masterclass in silent takedowns, a quick whoosh of an arrow, a muffled gurgle, the swift slice of his knife. It's brutal, efficient, and over before the Soviets even know what hit them. Moussa, witnessing Rambo in action, gets a first-hand taste of why this man is legendary. You can almost hear him thinking, oh, so that's what all the fuss is about. After days of relentless travel, Rambo and Moussa arrive at a secluded Mujahideen village. It's a haven nestled deep in the mountains, a place of temporary peace amidst the war. The clatter of cooking pots, the distant laughter of children, and the hushed conversations of the elders fill the air. Rambo is introduced to the local leader who, despite initial skepticism, recognizes the steely resolve in Rambo's eyes. It's a moment of cultural exchange, a brief respite before the inevitable storm. The villagers look at Rambo with a mix of awe and curiosity, wondering if this quiet, intense foreigner is truly the savior they desperately need. Spoiler, he is, always has been. Just as Rambo is getting comfortable with the local tea, the peace is shattered by the terrifying whirring sound of approaching Soviet Hind helicopters. These aren't your friendly neighborhood choppers, they're instruments of pure destruction, spewing a hail of bullets and rockets. The village erupts into chaos, a symphony of screams, explosions, and the brutal thud of incoming ordnance. But Rambo, ever the professional, doesn't panic. He grabs a heavy machine gun and starts laying down suppressive fire, the relentless rat-a-tat-tat of the weapon answering the chopper's aggression. He's not just fighting, he's defending innocent lives, a powerful reminder of what he truly stands for during the chaotic aerial assault. Rambo demonstrates why he's more than just a guy with big muscles. He's a tactical genius. Amidst the screech of missiles and the crackle of gunfire, he spots an opportunity. Grabbing an RPG, he takes aim, a moment of intense focus before he pulls the trigger. The whoosh of the rocket is followed by a spectacular blast as it connects, sending one of the formidable Hind helicopters tumbling from the sky in a fiery plume. The Mujahideen fighters, initially stunned, rally around him, their morale reignited by this display of pure, unadulterated badassery. Rambo isn't just a soldier, he's a beacon of hope. And he's just getting warmed up. As the smoke clears and the wailing of the wounded subsides, Rambo surveys the devastation. The village, once a quiet sanctuary, is now scarred, a testament to the Soviet brutality. This scene, with its palpable silence broken only by the distant groans of the injured, solidifies Rambo's resolve. This isn't just about saving Troutman anymore. It's about fighting for these people, for their freedom, for a land that deserves peace. He knows the Soviet base where Troutman is held is heavily fortified, a fortress of steel and concrete, but for Rambo, that just means a more challenging obstacle course. He's not one to back down from a good bring-it-on moment. With the taste of gunpowder still fresh in the air, Rambo, Mousa, and the Mujahideen elders gather to plan their next move. It's a classic war room scene, albeit one with a dirt floor and a map drawn in the sand. They pore over intelligence, discussing entry points, guard rotations, and the base's defensive capabilities. The stakes are incredibly high, the mission almost suicidal, but Rambo's calm, tactical mind is already dissecting every possibility. He's not just a brawny warrior. He's a highly intelligent strategist, capable of orchestrating complex operations. The scratch of a stick on the sand as Rambo outlines a plan is the only sound, signaling the meticulous preparation for the chaos to come. Night falls, and Rambo, a silent shadow, begins his infiltration of the heavily fortified Soviet base. This isn't a walk in the park. It's a meticulously planned dance with death. The snick of his wire cutters, the soft crunch of his boots on gravel, and the tense, almost silent thump of his heartbeat are the only sounds. He's a ghost slipping past patrols, disabling alarms, and generally making a mockery of Soviet security. It's a testament to his unparalleled stealth skills. He's basically a one-man mission, impossible team, except with more grit and less fancy gadgets. The tension is so thick you could cut it with, well, Rambo's knife. Deep within the bowels of the Soviet base, Rambo finds Troutman. And it's not a pretty sight. Troutman is being subjected to the delightful interrogation techniques of Colonel Zason, who clearly missed the memo on good cop, bad cop and went straight for just bad cop. The muffled thud of punches and Troutman's pained groans filter through the walls, fueling Rambo's already simmering rage. It's a powerful moment that underscores the brutal reality of war and the deep bond between these two men. Rambo's expression, usually stoic, tightens with pure, unadulterated fury. Zason has poked the bear, and now he's about to get the claws. Enough is enough. Rambo, his patience thoroughly tested, bursts into Troutman's cell. The crash of the door as he kicks it open is a declaration of war. He dispatches the guards with a frightening efficiency, the snap of bones and the thud of bodies hitting the floor confirming his lethal intent. Troutman, bruised but unbroken, looks at Rambo with a mixture of relief and, let's be honest, a touch of I told you so. It's a heartwarming reunion. If your definition of heartwarming involves blood, violence, and the promise of more blood and violence, they're a team again, and the Soviets are about to learn that two disgruntled veterans are infinitely more dangerous than one, with Troutman freed. The Soviet base quickly devolves into utter pandemonium. Rambo, ever the gracious guest, decides to leave a lasting impression, specifically a lasting impression made by explosives. The entire base erupts in a symphony of booms, crashes, and shrieks as Rambo systematically dismantles it from the inside out. He's a whirlwind of destruction, a one-man wrecking crew, with Troutman gamely following along, probably muttering about protocol and excessive force. The air is thick with smoke and the metallic clang of spent shell casings. And the Soviets are understandably completely bewildered. They thought they had a prisoner. They got an apocalypse. Rambo and Troutman make their grand exit from the base in a stolen Soviet truck, leaving a trail of fire and confused soldiers in their wake. But the Soviets aren't ones to just wave goodbye. They unleash a relentless pursuit, with ground vehicles hot on their tail and, of course, a menacing hind helicopter joining the party from above. The thud-thud-thud of the helicopter blades and the incessant chatter of machine gun fire create a truly frantic escape sequence. Rambo, behind the wheel, manages to navigate the treacherous terrain while simultaneously fending off attacks, proving he's just as adept with the steering wheel as he is with the bow and arrow. Talk about multitasking. To shake off their relentless pursuers, Rambo and Troutman duck into a sprawling network of caves. This is Rambo's element, dark, confined spaces where his instincts truly shine. While Troutman catches his breath, Rambo gets busy, transforming the cave system into a deadly labyrinth of booby traps. The subtle click of a grenade pin, the careful placement of sharp stakes, the rustle of camouflaged nets, it's all part of his master plan. He's not just hiding. He's luring the enemy into his turf, a spider patiently waiting for flies. The drip-drip of water echoes, adding to the tension as they wait for the Soviets to make their move. This is vintage Rambo, turning the environment into his personal weapon. The Soviets, led by Colonel Zayson, are nothing if not persistent. They comb the vast, unforgiving desert, their vehicles kicking up massive plumes of dust. The growl of their engines is a constant, menacing presence against the backdrop of endless sand. It's a stark visual to lone figures against an entire army, a classic underdog tale, but with more explosions. Rambo and Troutman are constantly on the move, a deadly game of cat and mouse across the harsh landscape. Zayson clearly underestimated Rambo's endurance, which, to be fair, is basically infinite. He's probably thinking, why won't this American just stay caught? Rambo, ever the master of knowing his terrain or quickly learning it, cleverly leads his pursuers into a hidden minefield. It's a truly chaotic scene, a sudden barrage of booms and shrapnel as Soviet vehicles inadvertently trigger the hidden explosives. The desert, moments ago a quiet expanse, becomes a lethal minefield, the air thick with smoke and the screams of wounded soldiers. Rambo and Troutman, having navigated it with precision, watch as the Soviet advance is crippled. It's a brilliant tactical move, demonstrating Rambo's ability to turn the environment itself into a weapon. Much to Zayson's ever-growing frustration, he's probably pulling out what little hair he has left. Even while being pursued, Rambo finds opportunities to turn the tables. He sets up a brutal ambush for a smaller Soviet jeep patrol. From a hidden vantage point, he unleashes a torrent of gunfire, the rat-a-tat-tat echoing through the canyon. It's a swift, surgical strike, leaving the Soviets reeling and further disrupting their organized pursuit. Rambo uses everything at his disposal, his knife, his bow, and any stray Soviet weapon he can get his hands on. Troutman, watching his protege, can't help but admire the sheer, unadulterated skill. It's a reminder that Rambo isn't just a fighter. He's a force of nature, perfectly adapted to this kind of brutal, chaotic warfare, just when things seem most dire. Rambo and Troutman finally link up with Mausa and a larger group of Mujahideen fighters. It's a much-needed morale boost, a sigh of relief for our heroes, and a collective oh boy for the Soviets. The desert air fills with cheers and the hearty clasp of hands as allies reunite. Now, instead of 2 men against an army, it's a small, determined army against a bigger, less determined army. The combined force prepares for what they know will be the final, decisive battle. This is where the real fun begins. If your idea of fun involves tanks, helicopters, and a whole lot of dramatic explosions, the stage is set for the epic final showdown. The Mujahideen, now bolstered by Rambo's sheer presence and strategic input, dig in, creating a formidable defensive line in a rocky, unforgiving valley. The clink of weapons being loaded, the whispered commands of the leaders, and the nervous breathing of the fighters fill the tense silence. Everyone knows what's coming, a full-scale Soviet assault designed to crush the resistance once and for all. It's the classic hold the line scenario, but with the added bonus of Rambo, who tends to turn holding the line into demolishing the enemy's entire offensive strategy. The air crackles with anticipation, like a fuse just waiting for a spark. And then, the moment we've all been waiting for. The Soviets launch their final, overwhelming assault. A colossal wave of tanks, armored personnel carriers, and infantry swarms across the desert, a terrifying display of military might. The sheer thundering sound of their advance, the screech of tank treads, and the deafening roar of artillery shells rock the entire valley. The battle erupts into a furious cacophony of gunfire, explosions, and war cries. Rambo, right in the thick of it, is a whirlwind of action, firing his bow, dodging bullets, and generally being the most unkillable human on the planet. This isn't just a skirmish. It's a full-blown, heavy metal war concert, and Rambo's playing lead guitar. Amidst the chaos, Rambo spots his next toy, a Soviet tank, conveniently abandoned. What's a little joyride in a 60-ton killing machine when you're trying to save the world? He hops in, starts the engine with a satisfying growl, and immediately turns its formidable cannon on the attacking Hind helicopters. In a truly audacious move that defies all logic, Rambo drives the tank directly towards an incoming Hind, the sheer thud of the tank's engine a counterpoint to the whirring blades. He fires a perfectly timed shot, creating a truly epic boom as the tank and helicopter collide in a fiery, metal-twisting ballet of destruction. It's a moment that will forever be etched in the annals of how to take down a helicopter with extreme prejudice, not to be outdone by Rambo's tank antics. Troutman, even after being tortured, shows he's still got plenty of fight left in him. He grabs a heavy machine gun and starts laying down a blistering hail of fire, the rat-a-tat-tat-tat providing essential cover for Rambo and the Mujahideen. It's a powerful image of an old warrior, battered but unbowed, fighting alongside his protege. He's not just a mentor. He's a soldier, a living testament to the grit and determination of the American fighting spirit. The battle is a testament to the power of teamwork, albeit a very loud, explosive kind of teamwork. The battle reaches its fiery crescendo as Rambo, still in his commandeered tank, sets his sights on the ultimate prize, Colonel Zason. The villain in his armored vehicle tries to make a desperate escape, but Rambo isn't one to let a bad guy get away. With a final, determined surge, Rambo rams his tank directly into Zason's vehicle. The resulting explosion is absolutely massive, a fittingly over-the-top end for the primary antagonist. The concussion of the blast ripples through the desert, signaling a definitive end to Zason's reign of terror and a clear victory for Rambo and his allies. Sometimes, a good tank smash is just what the doctor ordered. As Zason's vehicle becomes a fiery wreck, the remaining Soviet forces, demoralized and broken, finally turn and retreat. The silence that follows the cacophony of battle is almost deafening, slowly replaced by the jubilant cheers of the Mujahideen fighters. Rambo and Troutman, weary but triumphant, stand amidst their allies, a testament to their courage and the power of fighting for what's right. The battlefield is a scene of utter devastation, but in the smoke and dust, there's a tangible sense of hard-won victory. They came, they saw, they blew stuff up, and they won. Another day, another successful mission for the world's most effective babysitter of democracy. With the mission accomplished, and Afghanistan temporarily freed from immediate Soviet oppression. Rambo bids a solemn farewell to Mausa and the grateful Mujahideen. There's a shared sense of respect and camaraderie, a silent understanding between warriors. The clasp of hands, the nod of acknowledgement. Rambo doesn't do big speeches, he does big actions. He and Troutman then drive off into the sunset. Quite literally, the crunch of gravel under their Jeep's tires a final sound in this epic saga. Rambo's journey, always one of internal and external conflict, seems to find a momentary pause. He's leaving a land of struggle, but hopefully moving towards a future that's a little less. Explode why? It's a bittersweet ending, but a necessary one, as Rambo once again chooses the road less traveled, or perhaps the road that simply leads away from more war for a bit. And so, Rambo 3 concludes with our hero once again driving off into an uncertain future. This film, with its relentless action and unapologetic focus on a single, indomitable will, is more than just a collection of explosions. It's a testament to the enduring human spirit, the fight for freedom, and the unwavering loyalty between friends. Rambo's journey reminds us that sometimes the greatest battles are fought not just with weapons, but with conviction. It challenges us to consider what we would risk for those we care about, and for the principles we hold dear. May we all find the strength to stand up for what's right, even when the odds are stacked against us, and maybe, just maybe, look as cool as Rambo doing it.